G'day frothers, it's bolted down under back here at the bench once again, and today we have a follow-on from our last video where we did little performance tests of these two baby little 12-volt rotary hammers from Makita. So this one is the HR140 and this is the HR166. So this one is brushless, this one is brushed. So in the last video we saw how they perform, and this time I'm going to show you what's actually going on the inside. And anyway, let's get to it. All right, so first up is the brushed, because there's no point showing you the brushless unless you know what brushless even means. So we're going to show you the brushes, hopefully. Oh, there's your problem. So inside the brush drill, we've got some pretty simple stuff. There's the battery terminal. We've got there's a ferrite on there for some reason, trigger and the motor. And then up here we've got the hammer mechanism and the gearbox and stuff. But really we're just looking at the motor and the driving electronics today. So this is interesting, a little ferrite. So those things are, iron oxide kind of material, and they are for dampening high frequency RF noise. So I'm not quite sure why they'd want to be doing that in this kind of circuit, except for maybe the brushes create sparks or something. There's some source of noise coming in here. So yeah, interesting. But let's take a look at the motor. Oop, shit. Okay, so this is quite nice. You can just actually unplug the two terminals off the motor there. Thank you, Makita. And these are they the same? They are. So that's pretty nice too. These little screws, are the exact same ones as we're holding on the outside. So that's really nice. They're what, M3 self-tappers or something like that. Yeah, I really like that. It's a hallmark of some good design. And when I'm making prototypes at work, we can never get a single set of fasteners. We don't need to, because we're just in R&D. It's not the full commercial product, but still, yeah, really nice. Nicely done, Makita. All right, and that just comes off. Cool. Yeah, all right. So very nice little spiral bevel gear in there, or pinion, I guess it would be. If it's okay, can't see too much in there, but we're interested in the motor today. And I got a bearing up there. Yeah, okay, very nice. All right, so this is, I was kind of afraid of this. It doesn't look like you can really see much in here. And I would like to continue using this, so I think I'll leave this one at this stage. Actually, let's just get a light. Okay, so there you go. That little white cube sort of in there lighting up, that is the actual brush. But yeah, this I'm just going to leave that there because I actually have one that I prepared earlier. And by prepared earlier, I mean I tried to fix it like a year ago and couldn't get it working. So here we go. This is an old Milwaukee Impact that I inherited because it was broken. I figured, yeah, that's all right, I'll try and fix it. And basically the brushes were worn out. So if I just get all this off. All right, so that there is your brush. It's not very brush-like. I guess back in the day, 100 years ago, they would have been actual wire brushes or something, but nowadays they're usually made of some kind of metallized graphite, graphite like in your pencil leads. So it's kind of slippery, but it also conducts electricity. And these ones do wear down, So the reason this tool was on the scrap heap is because the original brushes had just worn down, and there was no real way to replace them other than try and get another one of these cards and solder it in there. So I had a shot at that, but the whole thing was kind of clapped out, so I wasn't able to get it back together. But yeah, some brush tools do have this little port on the side where you just unscrew it, stick new brushes in where they wear down. But a lot of them, especially these Milwaukee ones, you just gotta hope that it lasts a long time. Or be able to pull it open and solder in a new card of brushes. All right, so this is the actual motor part. So on here, we've got the stator, the stationary part, and the rotor, the bit inside that turns. So on this kind of motor, we've got electromagnets on the inside and permanent magnets on the outside. So I've got four poles on the stator, and it looks like 5 on the rotor magnet. And so there should be 10 contacts back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. And basically that is the reason the motor will turn rather than just sitting there with the magnet stuck together. So when you've got these two lined up, so the rotor and the stator are lined up there, you can see that on the opposite, they're not quite lined up back there. And similarly, these ones are not lined up at all because 4 and 5, they're just not going to line up. So when these ones, let's go for the top ones, when these ones are lined up, these ones aren't really lined up anymore, and those ones aren't either. And so that's why it turns. It's because there's constantly an imbalance that the magnets want to correct. We pop that out, and these magnets are so strong. I'm always impressed. So if we pop that out, okay, so that's the rotor, and then that's the stator. And so permanent magnets are going to be on the outside there. And the brushless motor and the other tool should be the opposite of that. Cool. Okay, so inside the brushless we have all right, so pretty similar, but you may notice there's a fair bit more wiring going on. And there's also an extra component down here. And so in the brushless, there's a lot more wiring going on. And so you can see there are actually 4 wires going to it, not just 2. But this one here, this black one, is made of a bunch of little ones, one of which just goes to the light. So, you know, it's just little power to the LED there. So there's this black one, and then there are these 3. So these ones look like power wires, and that tells me this is going to be a 3-phase motor inside here. Otherwise, the wires all go from, well, they originate in the battery and up to the trigger, and then there's this other thing here. And, okay, so, and that's all potted up. I can't see what's inside there. There's a capacitor poking up. But basically, because brushless motors are electronically controlled, well, what they really are is like an AC motor. So that's a DC motor. You just send a direct current to it, and the motor in the brushes and the commutator there mechanically switches the magnets around. This is an AC motor, and so you feed it DC through the battery, but then you need some way of changing the DC to AC. And so something in here, probably in this little unit here, that's actually just going to be an inverter. So if you have you know, like a solar power system or something like that, you know, that's doing the same thing. It's taking that DC current and it's making it wavy and turning it into AC current. And in this case, it's going to be 3 phases of AC current. So you're going to have the 3 phases overlapping. And the other thing you'll see is these little wires here. So they're sensor wires, and I'll try and jump in here and show you what those are actually for too. Alrighty. Oh yeah, beautiful. That's those Makita screws. All right, so brushless motor, first thing you'll notice is that it's got this green thing on the back. So that's a PCB, a little circuit board, and that actually has a few magnetic field sensors on it, Hall sensors. And that's what these tiny little wires are doing here. So you've got the 3 big wires, which are sending the power in, and 3 wires because it's 3 phases. And then these little guys are running back all the way through here, back to the trigger, it looks like. And they are actually sensing the position of the rotor inside there. So that's telling there'll be a microcontroller in one of these units here, and that's telling the microcontroller where the rotor actually is, and that way it knows where to swing that electromagnet field around. So in the brushless motor, that was done mechanically. So it was just built such that the brushes just touched in the right spot on the rotor, no matter where it was. Whereas these ones, they don't actually know, because the rotor doesn't have anything on it. It's just got magnets, and so it needs these magnetic sensors on there to tell the little computer where to swing that magnetic field around the outside. And oh boy, okay, this is always hard to get these ones back together. We'll just try and pull them out. Oh, okay. Oh, man, it's dusty. Okay. So the cooling, like the dust from the drilling actually goes fully in here. So the cooling, the cooling vents on the outside, they suck in just dusty air, and then, yeah, it gets all in there. But this is your rotor. This is your rotor on the brushless drill, and so that should be a permanent magnet. And so it looks like it's got 4 lobes to it. And then this will be some factor of 3, so that's 6, yeah. So 4 and 6, and basically same principle as the other one. 4 and 6 don't line up perfectly, so when some of the magnets are going to be in equilibrium, the rest won't. So when they get energized, the thing will want to turn either way. Yeah, so very cool. Oh, okay, you can kind of see, if you look down the bottom there, you can kind of see those little surface mount components. I think that's one there. So that's little hall sensors. And yeah, unlike the brushed motor, which had the permanent magnets on the outside, the electric component, the electromagnet on the inside, this one is the opposite. And because the rotor is kind of just this like inert magnet, it doesn't touch anything aside from the bearings, and that means there are no parts to wear out really. It'll only be the bearings that wear out. So this is, yeah, I really love brushless motors. There are a lot of other guys out there doing teardowns, but I really wanted to just show you these tools because, well, firstly because I wanted to see what's going on the inside, but also I'm always banging on about brushless motors, so I thought I'd just do this little teardown video and just show you what's going on. But this is the reason brushless motors are so good. Well, one of them, and they're just well, smaller, so more compact. These things weigh about the same. Oh yes, kitten. Okay. So they're in general going to be smaller. They're going to be more efficient because that doesn't have the brushes or any other components that are really going to wear out. It's going to have longer tool life. And because they're electronically controlled, they can be a bit more versatile. So, these things are a real technology enabler. So brushless motors have been around for a long time in like little specialty things like hard drives and stuff, but they've really come into their own in the last sort of 10 years, 5-10 years. And power tools have kind of been leading the way, So this is really, really great stuff to see. And because these motors are so capable and so versatile, so much more efficient, so much more powerful, all that, it means that things like drones, like decent drones, quadcopters and stuff, are going to be possible. Things like electric cars, electric scooters, you couldn't really do them with a brushed motor. So yeah, brushless motors are a lot more complex. They are more expensive, but then, oh, kitten, hello. But as we saw in the last video, you got 30% more work done with the brushless tool. And between these two, I mean, there's only about $20 difference, I think. So the brush tool was retailing for 200, and then the brushless was 220. So anyway, there you go. Hey, do you want to say hi? Okay, sorry. I gotta go. So scratches later, everyone.